This is, this is why when I'm done today, I have to leave really quickly. Just kidding. So, Lunenburg. We didn't spend a whole lot of time in Lunenburg, but absolutely, Lunenburg is just as great as ever. I thought merchants did a better job in beautification than 5 years ago. It just seemed more appealing. Even though we didn't have great weather while we were here, it was just as great as ever. And of course, I think everybody on the plant next to Peggy's Cove, this is probably the picture you see the most. They drive over and take a picture from the golf course or whatever across there. But anyway, just a great town. We had a great time there. We didn't have time. One of these times we want to come back just as visitors and actually go out there. So we thought, we needed to do a couple of activity vendors in our best of live. And we didn't get to do harbor tours. There's 2 or 3 different selling ones. So we went over to TripAdvisor and found one that was the highest rated, and we added them to the list. But it would be a great experience I would love to do. So we had that one, and then I added I think Lunenburg doing a walking tour. It doesn't mean it has to be an organized walking tour. Just walking the town is the best of. So just walking Lunenburg is an absolute best of. And then the Fisheries Museum of the Atlantic, absolutely. And then Nova Scotia Sailing Tours is the one that had the highest rated, so that's the one we put in there. We didn't get a chance to go try them or the other ones, but that's what we put on there. We're getting a good list, aren't we? Okay. And Blue Rocks. I love Blue Rocks. And they have pleasant paddling out there, which I think would be really cool. That's one of those, I think it's more than a hidden gem. I thought Blue Rocks is one of the coolest places ever. And they probably don't want to be over-discovered. They may say, Roger, could you take us off the best of list and just put us on the hidden gems list? That would be fine too. Because I know it's more residential. There's not a lot of parking out there. But absolutely a great thing. And Ironworks Distillery. Which that wasn't here 5 years ago, was it? I didn't think so. Great place. And so, one thing is beef up your TripAdvisor profiles and views, because that's what we did. We went to, if you go to by the way, I used to sit on the board of TripAdvisor when it first started. It got spun off, it was purchased by Expedia, and then they spun it off, and TripAdvisor is quickly becoming the #1 travel resource in the world. And it's more than hotels, and it's more than restaurant reviews. They have 400 people that just do reviews. They have nearly 50 people that just do checking to make sure you're not pumping up your own reviews or paying reviewers. And if you're ever caught doing that on TripAdvisor, you're banned for life. But look at this. Are you a Lunenburg tourism organization? And you can add to this the best of Lunenburg. Of course, this is the best of Lunenburg's by TripAdvisor. You can add the best of your area with rave review widgets. You can add these little widgets, but you can also promote Lunenburg for no charge on TripAdvisor. They now are adding attractions and activities. So start adding, if you're an activity provider, start getting into there. But every town, and I'm not saying Bluenose or Southwest Nova or whoever has to do this, but every town should promote there, and nobody's promoting Lunenburg specifically. And you can do that for Chester, for all these towns. And then the next thing is on website or on visitor information. Just doing these little things is so great. These little brochure holders, we talked about this 5 years ago, and you've done some. And I want to show you this one that I saw just a couple years ago. This is in North Platte, Nebraska. They had a local craftsman make this. I thought it was really cool because they have a little bigger guide. And so the top lifts up, $300. I thought, what a cool thing to do. So I'd have these in all kinds of places, all over the Bluenose coast. This is in the Bruce County, Ontario, what they did there. It's just a real estate brochure holder, basically. But doing those, and I think at Mahone Bay, I think these are awesome. I think that's what you need more of. Just the point is, you need to have your visitor information working 365 days a year, 24/7. So, this is an interesting study. 32% of travel decisions prior to traveling come from brochures, only a third prior to us coming here, 1/3. Number 1 is the internet, number 2 is friends, Facebook. Let me give you another statistic about why women rule the world. 94% of women will refer their friends and family on Facebook and on other social media sites to places to visit and go. Men, less than 20%. So friends and family, word of mouth. But look at this. Once we're here, 81% of our, let me go back there. 81% of our decisions come from brochures while we're here. 81%. Number one. So they're still important. I'm going to show you my favorite visitor information kiosk of all time. This is in Cape May, New Jersey. And they have a little district called Washington Square Mall. And look at it. Isn't that cute? Notice what it says, welcome friends old and new. Linger here a day or two. And what's really cool, it does have power in it. They do get some winds there. They are a seaside destination. They actually have a little curtain thing that they can hang here during the winter months that still allows you to go in. It's like slots, real heavy. You know, you can just kind of brush them aside. But then during the summer, they take them off, and they've got all their brochures, restaurants, and everything in there. And each business that's in there pays like a couple bucks a month just to keep it stocked and keep it clean. It's not a big fundraiser, but it helps just do that. And it's got maps of the area, and I just thought it was really a great little thing. We'd love to see and I don't know, I've emailed them to find out how much it costs, and I haven't heard back yet. But I'd love to see 10 of these somewhere all along the Bluenose coast. Something like this. Anyway, just a great job of it working year-round for you. So we're scouting the area, and we did see the Railway Museum. And my wife said, nah. And that's why, curb appeal. If there was a caboose out there or something, we don't know whether it's open, we don't know whether it's permanently closed. We figured it was open because it did have these out there. And we don't know if they do the dance classes in next to trains or if that's somewhere else. We got fresh fruits and vegetables. We don't know. We couldn't quite figure out what the deal was. With the signs, but you know, a mural on the side of the building, something other than just dark brown. I mean, remember curb appeal, 70%. And so we couldn't even see when the hours were. I mean, you have to drive all the way in there, and then you keep off, and you know, we just didn't know the doors are closed. We have no clue. There was one car parked in the parking lot, and you always don't want to be the only one in a place, right? When we travel. And so we didn't go in. It may be fantastic, but it didn't pull us in. And just so you know, this is a real challenge with rail because we've worked in a ton of rail towns. The average person that loves rail and rail museums is 67. People under 45 don't have any connection. And I'm not saying you throw it away. I'm not trying to throw the rail museum under the bus, but it has to be pretty cool to bring people in. See what I mean? Particularly younger people and younger families. Kids love trains. Chester, we had to go see Jim Smith. And, you know, most of the funds that you pay us to come here and do this kind of stuff get spent. His stuff isn't cheap. But, you know, and of course the typical artisan, do you wear shoes all the time, or are you like him? He's wearing shoes today, okay. But, you know, that's what we love about artists, you know. And, but he's talking about that, and of course, you know, that is now in our house. And great little shop he has there. You know, the one thing that I will talk about over the Bell Coat, is it Bell Coat? Westcote. Okay, is you have a tremendous variety. Whereas Jim has one style. So even though I think he's really great and we love his art and everything, I didn't put him on the best of because I thought his focus was really narrow. Remember, you know what I mean? It has to be a little broader. But although I think absolutely a hidden gem, great place to go. We finally did find the golf course in Chester. I had to use the navigation system. It was listed, but you don't really have signs, and Chester is not exactly on a grid pattern. And so we did get up there, and wow, what stunning views. I mean, we were just amazed. And by the way, we don't know whether, there is a restaurant there, right? Is it open to the public? It is. Is golf open to the public? There's no signs that say any of that. So you just go there and it's there. So we didn't know whether it's a country club and it's members only. Is there cart rentals, club rentals? No clue. There's nothing that says anything. See what I mean? Remember, you know what visitors do? We judge a book by the cover, and if it's not really obvious, we don't go in and ask. We leave. But it looked fabulous. I don't know whether, I thought even if you did QR codes, this is another thing for visitor information now, is these little QR codes. Where you can go in and you just click on it, and it'll say, oh, here's information about the golf course. So if you had one of those at the golf course, you had one of those in downtown Chester, you could pull up a little map, it could take you to the page on your website. Are you familiar with QR codes? I mean, they're gradually going away and being replaced with actual images. But right now, QR codes are a big deal. It's a great way to get visitor information without having to spend a lot of money. Even restaurants will put a QR code outside their restaurant. You click on it, it pulls up their menu. How cool is that? And so that's something you could do. I think that in places like Chester, you need pedestrian wayfindings. That's what these are. This is in French Lick, Indiana. But I think doing these little pedestrian signs to help you find. So this time we actually walked around Chester, which we thought was awesome. We're walking through neighborhoods and retail shops and everything, and we just fell in love with Chester. Last time we just kind of went to a few shops, and this time we actually spent some time on foot. I love this one in Greenville, South Carolina, that has everywhere you go, they've got these maps that tell you where the parking area is. I could see this. You know what happens is we'll go into places like Lunenburg, Chester, Mahone Bay, and we'll go down one street. And we're not really wandering because we're afraid we're going to get lost. And so that's where pedestrian wayfinding can kind of help people, guide them around so they'll wander more. I love what they did here. It said more to explore. And these are actually, this is a little, let's see if I have a close-up. This actually is an open-up frame, and you slide these in there. So I tell you, there's more to explore, and then you could actually slide the merchant names in there. So as the merchants change or whatever, the sign can change. This little side thing comes off, so you can slide those in there. But it's just a way to spread people out more. And the golf course did look amazing. Is it amazing? Yes. I hear everyone going, yes, okay. It's really cool. I did not put it on the best of. I don't know if it's one of the best golf courses in Nova Scotia. Maybe it is. But see what I mean? We didn't get to try everything. We didn't eat at that restaurant. It may be amazing. It may be okay. But, you know, so there may be things you need to add on here. The Tancook Ferry. Nothing's changed in 5 years. It's just more run down. And we still have not done this ferry because we don't know what's over there. And even if you read some of the descriptions, they're so general that it just didn't sell us on why we should go over there. I don't know. Let's see. I don't even know. Is it on this map? Is it on here? I think I remember seeing it on here. And yeah, I think so too. But our problem is, I've got the ferry schedule now. That's good, so I know when it runs. I got the prices right there. I don't know, is this passenger only or is it vehicles or both? It's passenger only. And when you get over there, what is there to do? I'm asking. You walk it? Can you spend money? You can? There's what is over there?
Lunenburg, it's in Lunenburg County.
I know.
We'll take your money.
I know, but if we go over to Tancook Island, are there places to spend money on the island? There is a restaurant? Okay. What's that? Oh, there is bicycle rentals? That's what's missing. You know, how long is the crossing? You know, what is there to do once we're there? What to bring? You know, do we bring cars? Is it better on foot? You know, places to eat, rent up. There you go. See? Didn't know that. And so what I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, and if they're not going to do it, then you do it for them, because it'll keep people in Chester longer, is go right in here and put a little brochure rack and create a little brochure for them. Is it a provincial ferry or is it private? It's provincial. And so all you need is just something in there, just a little brochure that says, by the way, if you go over to Tancook Island, here's what you'll see. There's bike rentals. And by the way, what days of the week? We're there. If we're on a Sunday, are there still bike rentals, or is it only Monday through Friday, or is it only Friday? See what I mean? We need information. We're not going to take the chance if we don't know. Yes, ma'am. Well, if the province won't pay for it, then you do it. And you may say, well, that's not fair. Holy smokes. I mean, they should pay for that. But you know what? You know who benefits? Chester, Bluenose Coast. Remember what I said? You keep people here another couple, 2 or 3 hours. We're going to stay another day. We're going to come back again. And so sometimes it may not be fair. It may not be right. But you know what? Sometimes it's better to just do it. As a matter of fact, I'd get one of those little brochure holders. I would just go in there and screw it on a post and ask for forgiveness rather than permission. I mean, it's been 5 years, and this is probably a cool experience. If I think the LaHave Ferry is worth putting on the list, you would think that this would be worth putting on the list. I don't know, but does that make sense? Just do it. Just a rack card. You know, just a rack card that just says the Tan Cook Island Experience. Plan on 2 to 3 hours. There are bike rentals. Here's the rates. Provide the rates. The bike rental rates are this much. Maybe that business that rents bikes in the restaurants would help pay for the brochure. Don't they stand to gain a lot from this? But for the umpteenth time we've been to Bluenose Coast, we still haven't been over there because of all the insurities. This is really a great little spot. When we were there, somebody said something about there was going to be a concert here. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you had a little reader board that just says, here's our upcoming events at the, what do you call this again? It's called, what's that? The bandstand. Well, that's really novel. Come on, let's be creative here. There you go. There you go, Chester Band. Okay. But anyway, I just thought it'd be cool somewhere if you said, by the way, upcoming performances, you know, so that we would know. We wish we could have gone there because I think it was happening the next night. We had to be somewhere else, you know. And that's the problem when you're working. You don't get to enjoy everything. But it's what a great view. Great little place. Love the homes. I mean, every time we come to the area, we just go, man, we love this place. Is this open to the public? Nobody here knows. Oh, only for, okay, so it's not something that you just wander in. Okay, good. Okay, I mean good, but I wanted to make sure that if it was open to the public, we didn't go in because it looked like, that's what we kind of thought. So, okay, looks like a great little place. And then we love the map. We love the fact you've added brochure distribution. That's awesome. It's one of the 3 brochures we got. Chester. And by the way, why do you have 3 brochures? One is last year's? And so do I have 3 years worth here? So why do you have 2 this year? There you go. There's the big mistake. That's what you have to change. The general area and the merchants and the public sector things have to be melded together. As a visitor, we don't want 2 brochures. We think 1 brochure for Chester would be great. Nobody wants to walk around or have in their car a whole pile of brochures. Does this make sense? Public-private enterprise. That's where we're at, public-private. So, okay. And so, of course, the Chester Playhouse we love. We haven't been able to ever time doing a performance there. Is it great? Yeah, that's what I thought. They do a great job promoting upcoming. The posters are well done. There's a calendar there. I don't think that was there 5 years ago. They did. And I went, yes. And so, yeah, it actually says, wow. And you know what? Here's the deal. When we see a calendar like that, it is an invitation to come back. Whenever we see upcoming performances, upcoming this, upcoming things at the bandstand, every single time you're doing that, it's an invitation to come back. And that's why you do it. So I thought that was awesome. Really great job. And so there we go. Oh, so we're starting our second list here. And absolutely put walking Chester. I think you know, and I don't know, it has to be an organized, we just like walking up and down the streets. They're narrow and there's some hills and we're going through neighborhoods and there was birds singing and it was just awesome. And we just thought just doing that, just walking through Chester. And of course the Chester Playhouse we had to add to the list. And it could be that the Tan Cook Ferry needs to be added to that. I don't know, we still haven't done that experience. But if it's awesome, then it should be on the list. We did see this one. We haven't had a chance to eat here at the Kiwi Cafe, but they do a good job with curb appeal. A nice little place. What's that? Anybody say? Okay. And so then we did that. And then we did Mahone Bay. We didn't spend, you notice I didn't concentrate a whole lot on Lunenburg. And I'm not going to concentrate a whole lot on Mahone Bay because I concentrated a whole lot on them when I was here before. But I speak at 100 events a year. And we actually did a 5-year research project where we surveyed 500 great towns and downtowns in the U.S. and Canada. And 100 of them were in Canada, 300 of them were in the United States. This is about pro rata, about right. And we came up with the 20 ingredients of an outstanding downtown. Mahone Bay is the showcase we use for all of Canada. So, I mean, places like this, I'll never forget, when I was here 5 years ago, and then I can't remember, it was a couple years ago, we got here in October, and we actually saw the whole Scarecrow Festival, and we saw all the pumpkins on their roof, and I mean, Mahone Bay just does, and this is my favorite gallery ever. We never ever can leave Mahone Bay without spending a lot of money in here. Are they here by chance? No? Okay. And so it's just a really great little gallery. I love the way, isn't that cool, the way they light up these displays and everything? Old Station is great. I mean, look at how beautiful it is. So when we did the 20 ingredients of an outstanding downtown, and very few places have all 20. Most have like 15. And Mahone Bay was right there at like 16 out of 20. There's still a few things. Your work is never done, by the way. But everywhere I go, even in Nova Scotia and other places, I said, the model to emulate is Mahone Bay. So there's a guy that's been investing in Guysborough, way up there by the Kenzo Causeway. And you know what he does? He comes to Mahone Bay. So here's the deal. Here's my word of caution for Mahone Bay. When you're doing something really well, everybody's going to be gunning for you. So don't ever rest on your laurels. And so and by the way, this was way improved over last time we were here, even Old Station. Just really nice. But look at the beautification. Look at the colors. There's somebody yesterday on the Eastern Shore. I showed Mahone Bay even there. It said, oh, you know what really makes them stand out besides the beautification and the mixture of shops is the color. And that is something that I hope you don't go away from. But I don't remember this 5 years ago. Okay, it's new, but I think they've done a great job there. We did eat here at Valentino's this time, which we didn't do last time. Love the little pottery shop. Just everything about Mahone Bay, I think is fantastic. I think it's the model. There is, I tell other places and I call your downtown the village, I don't know what you call it, but I thought it was important to do that. One thing that you have a big advantage is you have all these cruise ships that are in there, all going to Peggy's Cove. You're only 45 minutes to an hour away from Halifax, so you have a huge advantage. And it's challenging for places like Shelburne and other places to try to live up to that, but they all have that potential. And so, Amos Pewter, absolutely. Once again, artisans in action. When you see them back there doing it, you see them doing all the pewter work, that's absolutely fantastic. We love artisans in action. And Northern Sun Gallery. Notice our list here. You're going to have quite a brochure. So we had day 3. So that was day 2. Day 3, now we're doing, Hubbard's. And, of course, sorry, that's out of focus there. And we always eat at the Trellis. I think they make the bread and everything there. It's just really great. And so these, too bad I have to keep going through these. I should just have the list there. And so, of course, we put the Trellis Cafe on there and best sandwiches ever. Oh, and by the way, I added Ross Farm. We did not go to Ross Farm this time, but it is absolutely worth the trip. It just goes to show that if you do the Bluenose Coast, you need to do a week this time and a week next time, or 2 weeks. The days of 2-week vacation are pretty much over. But if people come down here for 3 or 4 days, they need to do it 2 or 3 or 4 times a year. That's the point. So remember, we didn't even go out there, and we're still I'm already on day 3 here. And so I thought it was really important to include Ross Farm, even though we didn't go there this time. We love the Visitor Information Center, love the maps, the bike rentals. We didn't know you have several bike rental places. I think train station gallery, just great customer service there. This took me back to grade school days, where the teacher carried the stick and, and anyway, but it's still great. And I thought that was great. And And you know what I really like? I like the fact that the map we are using is the map that's on a wall. Because too often, what you see in the wall, we can't take with us. And so it's basically this map right there. It's pretty close, isn't it? Yeah, it's the same map. And I thought that's perfect. But too often we have maps like that, and then we go, well, we can't take that with us, and now we can. So this was really a great find. Is this open to the public or no? Nobody knows. No, it's not. It's a private little sailing club or lessons or whatever. If it is, that's fine, but we didn't know if it was something that we would love to come here and learn how to kayak. We'd love to come here and learn how to sail in the small boats. We thought it looked great, but if it's not open to the public, then fine, you don't need to change anything. The only thing I would change is I think chain link fences in an area like this are a shame. That should be wrought iron, or even, they make vinyl fences now that are really attractive. You know, chain link always makes you look industrial. And so the only thing I would do is encourage them to just think about, they make these really cool vinyl fences that look like wrought iron, but they're vinyl, so they don't rust. You don't have to worry about salt and all that kind of stuff, and they're really cool. So that would be the only thing I would encourage for them to do. We're driving around looking at stuff, but signs like this aren't very helpful. We do see some little attraction back here, and it looks like Seafair. We don't know what it is. Is it a B&B? We don't know whether it is a restaurant. We don't know here's a gallery. So we saw these signs and we said, well, let's drive back there, and this is what we were greeted with. So I'm not too sure what that is. So sometimes you still need to go out there and take down signs that don't go anywhere, don't mean anything. And maybe we took a wrong turn somewhere there, but all of a sudden we ended up with a big gate there, and I'm going, well, now what? And if you drive over here, it's like driving off a cliff. And so I would just get rid of that. It's just junk out there that doesn't mean anything unless we miss something. Peggy's Cove, of course, we love the Visitor Information Center. We love the fact there's the same map again. And so washrooms on the map, bingo, got to put them there. Heavily used, they keep them clean. And, you know, I was really glad that Peggy's Cove over the last 5 years, I think the biggest concern I've always had as a visitor is that Peggy's Cove would get so over-commercialized that it would lose its fishing village, and it hasn't done that, which is really cool. Because part of the allure is seeing an actual working fishing village. And so I was really glad to see it. It's one of the most iconic destinations. I like the wharf hags. I thought that was pretty cute. With their art in there, and there it is, local artisans. That's cute. Didn't have a whole lot of inventory in there, but it's still cute and fun. Ladies are nice in there. And of course, we love all the colors at Peggy's Cove. One thing I noticed, I looked at pictures, 5 years old pictures. Some of the homes that have been repainted are now being repainted in beige, tan. No, please. We love the red, the yellow, the purple. I mean, we love that. That's always been iconic to the Bluenose coast and everything. It's the colorful. It's like downtown Mahone Bay. It just is lively. Nova Scotia is known for kind of, our kind of weather where I live. And so doing your houses and all that, I said, no, where's all the bright colors? And so I hate to see you go away from that. We did see the B&B back in there this time, which I never really know. I knew there was one back in this. We did go in and see where it was located. It looks very nice. And what's really funny is every time I come here, I can't help but take that picture. That was this year, and I took the very same one 5 years ago. It's just so iconic. It's really, really a charming little place. And, of course, I think that this is the most iconic drive in all of Nova Scotia, is the preservation area. I mean, it is, it's all the granite, all the rocks, all of that. I think it's, even, other than the Cabot Trail, which is a totally different experience. But it is really cool, even on a lousy day. This I took a different time I was here. And I thought it would be, now do they do kayaking tours through here? Like Eco or somebody do that through here? Because we wanted to come here, my wife and I want to come here, we want to do kayaking, but we'd like to do it where it's fairly calm. We can go in and around all these little rocks and, rather than blue water or something. And I always thought, boy, it's so beautiful. And I didn't know, there is this little walk here. Is the preservation area pretty much closed for people to walk through? They're hard. Okay, you should promote those. And I do believe that you need to keep people on the paths. I mean, obviously you don't want to tromp over this place. But I would love to be able to walk out and go through there. That's something I mean, I think it is just so stunningly beautiful. I think it's probably the most beautiful ecological area in all of the province that I've seen. It's just really stunning. And so, you know, Peggy's Cove, I added there, the preservation area there. And of course, I have Peggy's Cove there itself, absolutely, the lighthouse. I did see Peggy of the Cove. We still haven't been in there yet because we're always like, well, I wonder what it is, you know, but it's nice and put free admission. And I mean, you can't miss the mural. And, you know, it's really cute. It's a fun photograph. But I haven't had a real lot of, you know, look at the tree. The tree. And so, you know, Jane, my wife, thought it was a little over the top. I don't know how she thought that, but, you know. But, you know, it's still fun. It's a great picture to take. And so, a little side note. Just so you know, over the last 7 years, I came here 8 years ago and spoke at a rural tourism development day in Halifax, I think it was. Since then, we have driven every bit of coastline in this entire province. When I was here in July, I was really afraid that Avis would say, we really don't want your business anymore because I put 4,200 kilometers on their rental car. And we have assessed virtually every single bit of this province. We have not assessed Halifax and Dartmouth. But outside of that, we didn't go assess Truro, but we've been through Truro many times. And but I just want to let you know that we, over all this time, we have done everything in this province. And I have to tell you, having worked in 45 states, in all of your provinces, except Manitoba, what's up with them? And we actually have spoken there several times. And this is our favorite place in all of North America, is Nova Scotia. And I mean that. And now that we've assessed it all, I went over and I've talked to Pat here, I've talked to Bob Book and everything. He said, just because we've assessed it all, please keep bringing us back. And it's not about the money, it's about the experience, because we just have totally fallen in love with Nova Scotia. But here's what I want to show you. Having seen pretty much it all now, I'm going to tell you the top 10 must-visit communities in the entire province. You ready? These are in alphabetical order, so don't get me wrong here. They're not in by priority. Annapolis Royal, awesome. Bear River, gotta love it. Chester, Guysborough, Halls Harbor. Now, Bear River, you can see that river totally empty out into the Bay of Fundy. And they've got these great little artisans there. It's not very big. I mean, it's small. Halls Harbor, you know why we put Halls Harbor on there? How many of you have been to Halls Harbor? Okay, most of you. I mean, you go in there, you pick the lobster you want. I want to eat that one. And then you feel guilty. You pick them out and put them in the tray, you know, and then they go cook them. Luckily, we don't have to watch that part. And then they bring them to you, go out on the deck, and you sit there and eat your lobster, and you're watching the lobster fishermen down there. And we sat there and watched the tide go down till the boat sat on the bottom, you know, because it's on the bay, and it was so cool. I mean, it's just something that as visitors to you going, oh, yeah, we've seen that a million times. But for us, it's new, it's different. And so, Halls Harbor, Lunenburg, of course, Mabu, or Mabu, depending on where you're at, it's pronounced differently. Mahone Bay, Peggy's Cove, Wolfville. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And notice how many are in the Bluenose coast. Wow. I mean, that's pretty cool. And then we even did some honorable mentions. Antigonish, which for years I called Antigonish, till I went there. Because people in Halifax will say Antigonish. You go out there and say, Roger, it's Antigonish. Badek, LaHave. Now, the only reason LaHave is not on the other list is because it just doesn't have a whole lot of critical mass of stuff. But it has absolutely some of the best ofs, but it's right there. Pugwash, we think Sherbrooke, Tatamagouche, Fort Point neighborhood in Liverpool. Those are some of our honorable mentions. We also have other lists like, that I'm not going to tell you, like the dreariest towns, and don't worry, there's none here. We have some of the towns that I think have the most unrealized potential would be like New Waterford or like Pictou. Has so much potential, but it's just unrealized. So there's lots of those too that have the potential. Now, while we're here, every time we come out here, I see East Coast Outfitters, and we always want to use them because they have a really great brochure and everything. And so that's one of our trips. We need to come and do this. And we keep saying we're going to add another day. And so I added East Coast Outfitters, and I also added Freewheeling Adventures for biking. And so, because remember, this is a mix of businesses, it's activity vendors, things to see, things to do, and places to eat. And so it's a mix of those. And so when you go through this list, everything that you see in green is private. Everything you see in white, public or nonprofit. And if you notice, and we did not do this on purpose, this is just the way it turned out, that what you're doing here, it's very much a mix. You can't do two brochures. Because as a visitor, we'll say, well, let's go in that one, it's nonprofit or private, and let's not go in that one, it's a business, and we don't do that. And so I just wanted to show you how cool this could be to do this. So you could have one of these really cool brochures that I am going to give back to Trudy. And this one here had, I don't know how many on there, but you've got, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We got 26 here. You could probably go up to about 30. I would never go more than 30. Because otherwise they're saying, they're just promoting everything. So you could add a few more that we missed that might be absolutely, don't let politics get in the way. Now, I don't know how many of you agree with me. Some of you may say, well, we don't agree with you, but I wanted to give you something to start with. And I'm sure that, and I don't want politics in the way of, well, I don't like them, or they never pay to be in our brochures. Quit all that stuff. It's not about you, it's about the visitor. So, Heritage Park, we saw it 5 years ago. I still think this sign needs to come down. I said it 5 years ago. It still needs to come down and just be like a directory. The signs still haven't changed 5 years later. They need to get out there and take these down there. I compared them, the photos. There's just a little more mildew on it this year than when there was 5 years ago. So we did go there. Nice little place. They do a good job. This is awesome. I think this still is, I think this is one of your hidden gems, isn't it, Tree? And still an awesome place. I used a photo from before when I was here because it was so foggy we could hardly see the boardwalk. That's right at the Heritage Center. It's right behind it. It's right, yeah. It's a hidden, it's literally a hidden gem. It's really gorgeous. Yeah. But that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's just right there. It's better than the Interpretive Center, no offense to them. The Aspotogan Peninsula, did I pronounce that right? Okay. It's marketed for biking. So we drove around it. Here's the brochure. We drove around, man, there's no shoulders on this route. Anyway, they're really biking this route. We saw a couple of bikers out there, and then add more share the road signs. There's a few. There should be like 50 instead of like 5, so that people remember that there's bikers out there. There's a few of them. We tried to count them. There was like 6 or something, but there should be like, there should probably be 30 of those signs. Like every kilometer, there should be another sign that says share the road, just to remind people if you're going to make it a biking. There was no spending locations that we could find. Isn't that the benefit of tourism? And so if I'm on a bicycle and I'm riding that, sooner or later I'm going to have to, pee, go to the bathroom. And so I didn't see any public, if you promote something, you got to have some amenities for them. And so, I think it's be an awesome bike route. No washrooms. Consider adding vendors, at least during the peak season, maybe a little, vendor booth out there or something, porta potty, I don't know, something. But if you're going to promote it as such, and I didn't talk to any bikers, we did see a few out there this summer, But I'm going, what do? They go up and knock on doors, or they just use, they knock on doors, okay. Or they're using the bushes. Yeah, okay, there is plenty of that. Lots of foliage. I was wondering why it was turning yellow that time of year, but no, I'm just kidding. Potty humor. Bike and boat rentals at the lodge. There was promoted. It said something about a lodge. We never found a lodge. Oh, the lodge. And there's boat rentals there? We never saw any signs. We never saw any boat rentals. We never saw anything. Oh, that's where freewheeling is? We didn't know where they were at. You know why we picked freewheeling? Because they were rated high and they had one of the great brochures. But we never saw any place to rent bikes or anything. So maybe they were closed for the day. Maybe there was just no signs out there. We never saw it. We drove it twice. And it was promoted. So they need to be more visible. So tell them that. It would be a great motorcycle route. Oh my gosh. And then New Harbor is considered a hidden gem. Where's New Harbor? We never found it. We don't know where it is. What's there? Why is it a hidden gem? So what I want you to do is, I know you have some hidden gems. Where is it on the peninsula?
Yeah, right at the very tip of the peninsula.
And what do you do there? Is there anything to see?
No. Well, there's the old whaling station.
Okay. It's gone. So on your hidden gems, if we drive somewhere, I want your hidden gems to be based on something to do or a scenic vista that is so extraordinary that we will go out of our way to do it. Because if I would have said, I want to find all these hidden gems and driven all the way down there and said, this is where it used to be, you know what I would have done? I probably would have ignored all the rest of the hidden gems. Does that make sense? So sometimes you have to be really brutal. And sometimes you're saying, you know what, to be politically correct, we got to put something down there. We're trying to make everybody happy. And that's what we run into. So other notes and first impressions. One thing you need to understand is, first of all, for any of you in business, you never use outlined text. Never use an outline around your text on signs. Now this one, I'm out of my car, standing right there, but when you're coming up the road, outline text always kind of blurs together. It's hard to read, just so you know. Just an FYI. But here's the challenge. If they did not have lights on in there, I would assume this was long gone and out of business. What would be your impression? Remember we said that looks like a nice place to eat. How many of you would say that when you're driving by this place if you didn't know it? That's what you have to understand. That's what merchants have to understand. And without a stick of curb appeal, lots of weeds growing up, I figured, this light was never on in day or night. And I think it does say the landing there, and so you know what? And so this brings me to that rule, and I'm going to do it one more time right there. So the places that are open after 6 o'clock are the places that we're going to spend the night. We don't spend the night because we're going to go hole up in our B&B or whatever. We spend the night because there's something to do after dinner. So very important. Okay? And by the way, back to this one. Do it on Fridays and Saturdays during the peak season at least. Because I'll tell you one, after we ate at Nikki's place, we walked around Chester, there was nothing open. She was the only game in town. There was nothing open. The playoffs might have been open, but we didn't have tickets. I don't even remember. But we walked around, we looked in the windows, nothing open. And I can pretty much say, I'll never forget when I was in Lunenburg 5 years ago, I was at a retail shop that had it's the Lunenburg Shipbuilders or whatever. It has a lot of the art and stuff in it. I can't remember. And I think they were open till 7. And I remember, and this is 5 years ago, so if my memory's foggy, but it was open a little bit later. But I remember them chasing 40 customers out of the store at 7 o'clock because they were closing in Lunenburg. Now, and that was 5 years ago, and so, you know what, and I've seen in both these, I've seen in Mahone Bay, I've seen in Lunenburg, I've seen in these towns, people just wandering around when everything's closed, and they're all carrying around wallets and purses. So, women account for 80% of all retail spending, and 70% come from curb appeal. Just wanted to rub that in. Now, we're coming out to Peggy's Cove. Shaw's Landing restaurant, great food, 2 kilometers what I put, because West Dover, I have no idea where West Dover is. It's not like there's, and you have all kinds of things that interlace, and so I would rather put Shaw's Landing, because you know what, I don't even know what it is. I do know what it is, but as a visitor, when I first saw the sign, I had no clue what Shaw's Landing was. All I knew was someplace in West Dover. I don't know if they sell lobster there. I don't know if it's a museum. I don't know what it is. So what you can do is always sell the experience. Shaw's Landing, I would put great food, Shaw's Landing, 2 kilometers. So just for all of you, always sell the experience. Does this make you want to stay there? It is really unfair. We judge the book by the cover. And so, and by the way, there it is, 2 miles. So I take it that sign's been there for a while. And we aren't going to pull over and write down phone numbers. So this is all on the way to Peggy's Cove. This is what your visitor's seeing on the way driving out. 330, is it 333? And so Fisherman's Corner at Taste of Nova Scotia, I thought that was pretty good, actually. So we know it's a restaurant. We know it's 5 minutes ahead. And that's great. If you do 5 minutes, then we're not worried about kilometers and miles. This one here does not really make me want to go there. Peggy's Cove, Fisherman's Charter, and Lobster Pound, I don't know where that is. It says it's in Peggy's Cove. I've never found it. Does it still exist? Nobody knows? See, sometimes you may need to go out there and just take down these signs. And if somebody complains, I say, okay, we'll go put it back up. But I have a feeling that a lot of these are not even around anymore. I mean, this one, how's this working for you? This one, and it's Oceanside Inn, only 4 stars en route, but it's 3 stars, and it's 1 mile. So we want to be 4 stars, but we're only 3 stars now. We're en route, and so I'm not really too sure which one it is. And so I would probably say, well, you know what, they can't decide how they're rated, so, I'm guessing it's probably really 2 stars. And that may not be fair, but those are the kinds of assumptions we make. There you go. That's your introduction. Remember, that's what we're seeing. Okay, we have high expectations. We're on the route. This is what we see. Joanne's B&B, that one's not bad, but once again, I would rather see you put beautiful Victorian B&B ahead 2 kilometers or something. I don't know what Joanne's is, but I would always sell the experience first, then the name of it, and then the distance. I wouldn't put phone numbers and towns. Just put that. Sell the experience. And how about this one here? That was there 5 years ago. I took a picture of it then. It's still there. Somebody has to go take it down. If they won't do it, then you do it. This one here is pretty good. It's almost too much to read. Remember I said like 8, 12 words. But at least they do Oceanside Inn, bed and breakfast, private bath. That's great. Nature trails, private sandy beach, complimentary boats. I thought that was really good. They really sold the experience. You know what I would do first? And this is what I want all you to think about. Is I would put up here is it Cody? Codes. So what I would put up here is B&B. I wouldn't even put codes. I wouldn't put Oceanside Inn. I would put B&B, put private baths, nature trails, private beach, complimentary boats, Oceanside Inn. Sell the experience first and then the location. Always. It's hard to do. It's hard to think that way. Love that. That's a great sign right there. It's open, Cove Gallery and Pottery, few words, sculpture jewelry. Yesterday in the East Coast, on the Eastern Shore, I told them they spelled jewelry wrong, and they said, you're in Canada, get it right. And so, but anyway, nice sign. And I love this sign. I don't know who owns this sign. Is this person here by chance? No? I'm going, this sign looks as good as it did 5 years ago. I don't know if they repaint it every year or whatever, but it's such a beautiful sign. I just think it's just gorgeous. Beautifully landscaped always. Got a few weeds to take down, but at least it's got annual color up there. Nice job. Shaw's Landing, once again, this has all that outline text, avoid on the sign. From a distance, you can't really read it. Superb seafood chowder. I mean, remember, I'm standing right in front of the sign to read it. But here's the challenge. You see a sign stacked up against a fence. There's a bunch of, this is what you see from the road. And so that's, We judge a book by the cover. And okay, here you go. You still have some work to do here. You're down to 24 signs, but over in 103, you're down to 38. And I imagine as fast as you take them down, they pop back up, don't they? But I wish I don't know if the Ministry of Highways, Department of Transportation, whatever you got, would have some kind of rules. Because somebody might say, well, I did have somebody come into my store once from one of those signs. But you know what? It gives you a bad first impression of the area when you just see massive amount of signs. And by the way, if I was to stop here and read 24 signs, I'd have a line of cars back to me to the freeway, honking and yelling at me to get out of the way. And I would say, I only read half of them. Give me a break. And so that's one of the challenges, and things like the Swiss Air Flight Memorial, it's almost too much text. It could be a lot smaller. It could be, I'd always do yellow. Notice yellow always pulls the eye first. Well, of course, now that everybody's going to do yellow, you're going to be yellow signs everywhere. Sorry, salt box back there. You're going to have competition now. And so I want to talk about marketing. So do you have any questions about that part of this? No? Okay, so let me go into marketing. We'll have time. I think we'll have time for Q&A at the end. I would rework some of the South Shore travel guide. I think there was excellent photography, and what we're talking about is, what did I do with it? I know I had it here somewhere. Anyway, had great photography throughout, organization information, very good. By the way, for all of you, in your photography, always show people. We relate to people more than places. So we don't want to see empty ships or empty boats. We want to see the people on the dock. We want to see people walking around downtown. We want to see people walking through Lunenburg carrying their shopping bags. You know what I mean? We always relate to other people. So not empty restaurants. We want to see full restaurants. We want to see everything we see. We want people. We relate to people more than places. That does mean that if you can make out who that person is, you need to get a model release. Given permission to use their picture. Unless they're a public, MLA, or unless they're a public figure, then you can use their photos. And then I would order a short paragraph each season, tell us what to expect that season. Weather-wise, what to wear, bring your rain gear, it doesn't matter. Like there was canoeing on the Medway River was written up. I have no clue where that is, where you go, who you rent boats from, no information. And if we don't go no information, we don't go try to look. We just say, next, what else is there to do? We're impatient these days. We have the internet. Everything's at our fingertips in a fraction of a second. Scuba diving at Fox Point Beach. We drove by Fox Point Beach 5 times trying to figure out where the scuba diving is. We never found anything. We kept driving by, and there must be a sign here. We must be missing something. We never saw a thing. There's no information. Reduce the text and add more photos. Detailed itineraries. Provide specifics. By the way, what you can do on guides, even on the map, if you say, bike riding the Aspetogan Trail or Aspetogan, and then put a little QR code and you click on it and tell us how to find the bike shop. And it'll just take us to their webpage because you can't include all this stuff in the guide. You can't include all this stuff in your Bluenose Coast brochures, but you could at least provide a QR code that would take us to the page where I can get the details, and the details need to be on your website. If your website has nothing more than your brochures, then you just wasted and you're losing sales. Because that's where we go for specifics. And so, the easier you make it, the longer people stay and the more often they will come back. And so if you're about fishing, these are the kinds of things you need to address. And I'm just using this as one example. It could be the same thing for bike rentals or kayak rentals. Can we learn how to rent a kayak? Where do we go? What time of year? Does it happen year-round? I mean, anything. So this is the fishing list. If you don't have these kind of specifics on your website, and I'm not talking just about the Nova Scotia backyard, I'm talking about also the Bluenose website, then you're losing sales. Okay? Make sure they're different or exceptional. Love this brochure. There you go, freewheeling. That's why I put them on the list, because this brochure, look at that. They're smiling. They're having a great time. That looks like the Cabot Trail. Is it? I think it is. But that's okay. But down here, look at this. We're stopping to enjoy the view. I mean, even the backside. And here's what's really good about this brochure. Number one, it is, we work on an appointment, so please call ahead. Perfect. Okay? That was good. Bicycle, sea kayak rental, they'd use yellow up here. However, here's what I would do different if I was them. I would make this really dark blue, like this color blue, and in yellow, I'd put bike and sea kayak rentals in big yellow letters, so that's what you see in the top part of your brochure in a brochure rack. Sell the experience first. So I put bike and kayak rentals in yellow on dark blue, and then down here put freewheeling adventures. Always sell the experience first. Then, we work on an appointment. That's great. Whether you desire the best quality equipment, deliver right to your door. Look at that. They'll deliver right to you. I didn't even know that. So that's really great. And what's really cool, they tell you the specifics. The kind of bikes, our bikes, everything. They do all that. The one thing and look at this. Does this make you want to go do it? That's what we're talking about. Evoke emotion. 2 words you need to remember in your marketing. Evoke emotion. I don't know how they're carrying that on a bike, but it's a pretty cool photo. And, here they are waving at the camera as they're coming down, and I thought this was great. The one thing that's missing on this brochure, we're in the age of pricing transparency. Give me prices. If I have to dig further, it's another thing I have to go do just to be able to rent from you. What's that? Does the new brochure have, I just picked this up like 2 months ago. Is this like Chester where we keep, we do the old ones till we run out? So there you go. Include prices. And does their new one include the prices? Awesome. Great. Because here's the other. These are my 2 best, thought were the 2 best brochures of all the brochures here. East Coast Outfitters, looks like a great time. You can look at all the choices. You see the docks there. They're almost every single picture except for this one has people in it. They're all having a great time. And there's the prices right there. And there's the directions, the reservations. And this looks, isn't that, you just want to go do it. And that's what I'm talking about. Here's the sea kayaking. Here's the more my style. But there it is. Half day cost, full days, sunset, offsite tours. They tell you everything. Perfect. That's how you close the sale. So just so you know. Add more details to the map. I think you could do. I think it's a great map. Add Lower Prospect to the map. It wasn't on there. Add Rizzers Beach to it. Reduce the thickness of the highway line on it. The blue line, I understand you're trying to show the lighthouse route. The blue line is so thick that sometimes you miss like little side roads that could take you down into places. And so add QR codes for more details. That's a great way to do it. And QR codes can be like half an inch. Sorry, I speak in feet and inches. But that about that size would work. And then we can click on it, and it'll take us to more details. Because, you have limited room in guides and on maps. There was kayaking to the Southwest Cove Fairy Tale Castle. We tried like crazy to find the Fairy Tale Castle. We never found it. And apparently, can you only see it from the water? And it's private? But we didn't even know where you do the kayaking. So there's some things on the map that are too general. Like kayaking to the South Coast, well, where do you go? And that's where you put a QR code and it'll say, here's where you rent the kayak to go do that. Because we didn't know. We couldn't even find any more information about it. Yes, sir.
Southwest Cove is not a direction, it's the name of the cove.
But even that, I don't know where that is either. Because I don't know that it's on here. I don't know that. Because not all the coves, there's lots of coves on here, and they're not all. There's Princess Inlet. There's Deep Cove, St. Margaret's Bay. But you know what I mean? Just so we didn't know where Southwest Cove is. Famous lobster suppers. Now, I happen to know they're right behind where we stayed, right? Is that the famous lobster suppers you're talking about? But I wouldn't know that because there's no details. I just happened to drive back there, going to the Rosewood Cottages, and I saw the building. So that's what I'm talking about. Canoeing the Medway River, where do you go and how do you do that? And these are all places for QR codes. The hidden gems we thought were great. Prospect Village, stroll the shoreline. We didn't see any place to spend money. Now, it doesn't mean that everything we do has to be about spending money, but I'd stroll the shoreline where we could spend money or where there's opportunities, where there's public washrooms, where there's something. Monetize it. You got to monetize it. So when you talk about Prospect Village, I wasn't even sure where that is. We thought it was mainly residential. And so we weren't too sure. On the guide here, I think that some of the things you could do, and this is not, and I'm not, and by the way, I don't want you to give anybody a bad time and say, well, according to Roger, you didn't do a very good job, because I think you've done an awesome job. Every suggestion I'm giving you is just how to make it even better. One thing you have a tendency to do, and everybody does, is be pretty general. Climb rocks sculpted by the Ice Age 20,000 years ago to the famous lighthouse. This is Peggy's Cove, and I think that's great. Mail a letter and take a keepsake photo. I mean, I think everybody's going to do that anyway. I would rather almost see you do bullet points. You know, that's how we are in the web. We're looking for bullet points. So I'd almost rather see you do bullet points that say, and I would put one of the most photographed places in Atlantic Canada. And people say, wow, if everybody else is doing it, I got to do it too, because I also have Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and Flickr and everything else. Let's see. Have a yarn with our resident fishermen and artists who call this natural masterpiece home. I'm not too sure where you would talk to the fishermen in Peggy's Cove. See what I mean? So I want to make sure that sometimes we get really flowery and it sounds really nice, but there aren't the details. And these days we want details, and we want them fast. The salt air is energizing, and the 10 fabulous beaches are a great escape in any weather, but I don't know what the 10 are and where to go and which ones are open to the public. This is in Hubbard's. Bunk down in an inn, cottage, or campground, linger a while. Treat yourself to lobster suppers, fish cakes, live entertainment, and vibrant. And so what you could do with these is, and if you do that, I think this text is okay if you have a QR code and it says, now here's where you get the details. And then we go to the web. Does that make sense? I think you've done a great job. And I think this is a great showcase piece, by the way. I think it's awesome. I mean, we use this religiously. So, one of the challenges you have is visitors could care less about municipalities. They're going to hear this afternoon. You know what? We got a Queens County and a Shelburne County guide. We didn't even use them. We don't care about physical life. Have you ever gone anywhere and said, there's the municipal boundary, turn around quick? We got to get out of the municipality. You know, one problem I really had yesterday in the Eastern Shore is we had the lady there that runs Halifax tourism. And she goes, we go all the way to Ecom, Secom. I'm going, you got to be kidding. Quit doing these municipalities. And I think they come clear down to you, don't they? That's the Hubbards. That's ridiculous. So here you go, Pat. Poor guy, he's going, man, what did I get myself into? Province has already screwed up the tourism department by divorcing them all over the planet. Anyway, I don't want to get into politics. But here's the deal. You know what? Halifax should be Halifax, Dartmouth, and you want to add a little bit of Cole Harbor, fine. You are the urban area. The Eastern Shore is an entirely different experience, and so is Hubbard's and Peggy's Cove and all of you. And so I wish that the municipalities would get out of this thinking we have to always promote everything in our boundaries and think about the customer. The Bluenose Coast experience is totally different than what you're going to get in Halifax. And by the way, the Eastern Shore is a totally whole lot different than what you get in the Bluenose Coast. Does this make sense? I mean, the metropolitan area should promote the metropolitan area and those urban kinds of activities and everything that make Argyle Street Dining District, the waterfront, all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, I just think that sometimes we get too much overlap.